In this part of the video, we're going to focus on the Battle of Gettysburg, which lasted from July 1st to July 4th, 1863. That's a little misprint. The battle happened in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And as you see on the screen right there, those are the exact coordinates. The Union leader was Major General George G. Meade. Now, the Confederate leader was the General Robert E. Lee. Now, as you can see from the numbers, the Union, when it comes to the deaths between Union and Confederate, are basically the same. There's 3,155 for the Union, 3,903 for the Confederates. Now, for the wounded, you can see that the numbers jump up dramatically. For the Union, it's 14,529, and for the Confederates, it was 18,735. Now, the captured and missing are basically the same. For the Union, there was 5,365 captured or missing, and for the Confederates, there was about 5,425 captured or missing. Okay. Now, Gettysburg is one of the most famous battles of the entire war. If there's something that the common person knows from the Civil War, it'd be something like Lincoln, um, maybe Robert E. Lee, maybe General Grant, but almost always they will mention Gettysburg. Okay, it is one of the most famous battles, and we're going to talk about it right now. So what happened was this. Lee wanted to take another attempt in invading the North. Now, his first try ended in total failure. All right, so if you remember earlier in the videos, you'd heard me talk about the Battle of Antietam and how bloody that was. And the thing was, the general at the time, McClellan, had a chance to capture Lee, but he didn't. And remember that upset Lincoln and stuff like that. If you don't remember that part, I would suggest you watch the Battle of Antietam again. It was the Battle of New Orleans and Antietam. I would highly recommend you watch that again. So, with that being said, Lee wanted to take um, northern farmland so that the southern land could get a rest. Because you have to remember, the Confederates were trapped by the North. In the Atlantic Ocean area, they were contained. There was a bunch of ships all around there. In the South area, there were more ships around. The Mississippi River, to the west of them. Sorry about that. They were there were ships there as well, along with soldiers. And then the north, you had soldiers as well. So they were basically boxed in from the north, south, east, and west. And the way they got their food was from the southern farmland. But the thing is, you can only grow so much and so fast. And the thing is, the citizens are like, well, we need food for ourselves, you know. So there was that issue. And so Lee wanted to basically invade the North, not only to get a foothold in it, but also to give the southern lands a rest. Because there was a lot of dairies and a lot of farms in the North. And so he's like, hey, they're making stuff. We can take their stuff. We can get their cattle. We can get their horses, their food, their crops. So that was another motive to it. Now, Lee wanted to make a mark and head to Pennsylvania, but the thing is, he wanted to really, really get to the heart in Pennsylvania, which is Harrisburg, but more importantly was Philadelphia. Because you have to remember, Philadelphia is the heart of liberty in our country. The Declaration of Independence was signed there. People like Ben Franklin were from Philadelphia. Um, the Liberty Bell is in Philadelphia. So to attack an enemy, you aim for their heart. And what was the whole purpose of the North? It was about getting freedom for the slaves. Now, how do you attack that? You get the city that represents freedom, and that's Philadelphia. And that's what Lee's motives were, to get to the heart, and that was Philadelphia. Um, the thing was, the Union and Confederate troops, they kind of collided in the town called Gettysburg. Now, Gettysburg at this time was a very small town. It wasn't as big as it is now, but the thing is, it plays an important role. Now, as you look at the pictures going from left to right, you will see the first day, July 1st, 1863. The blue is the north, the red is the south. Now, as you see there, just north of the city. And what ends up happening is, as you see those little dash of arrows, they fall back to this thing called Cemetery Hill. So the southern people are pushing them through the town. And so you can just imagine those people inside the city of Gettysburg, and all of a sudden they see soldiers, northern soldiers running away from the southern soldiers. Okay. Now, in day two, as you can look at that little arc they make, they basically surround Cemetery Hill. And if you look down to the south where it says Sickle, now this guy, um, later on, he plays a role when it comes to the medicine and amputations. So when we get to that video, you'll learn about him. But the thing is, he's right there. And as you can see, from the second to third day, they basically fall back to connect. And they make this whole area basically almost impenetrable in a sense. Okay. So, like I was saying on the map, day one, the Confederates pushed the Union troops back through the town of Gettysburg and to the area south of the town. Day two, both sides basically get all their soldiers, and the Confederates attack, but the Union hold their lines, right? And that's when I tell you that they backed up and they connected. And so day three, the Confederates decide, you know what, we're going to go a full-on attack. And basically they sent 12,500 soldiers to take Cemetery Ridge. But the thing is, it didn't work. The Union held their place. So if you remember that picture from the warm-up, that picture is from Cemetery Ridge. It may have looked like the Confederates were going to bust through, but the thing is, they didn't. They actually held. Um, and the thing is, with the large loss of life and knowing they can't take the field because they just did this whole straight on blitz to one section and it didn't work. Lee basically calls for a retreat back to Virginia. Now, the thing is, you have to remember, Robert E. Lee, he cares about his men. Okay, he could have been one of those jerk generals and been like, I don't care. You guys keep going and sacrifice yourselves and things like that. While he sat back. He could have been one of those people, but he didn't. He really cared about his men. And he realized, man, I am losing too many. And we're not even making a budge. So why even try? So they retreat. And then the second attempt to take the north basically fails. And the day they retreat, it's on July 4th, 1863, and the Union won. Now, the thing is, you have to remember, is that these two battles, um, they took a lot of lives. There was a lot of injuries. Um, and later on in the videos, you will learn about how they dealt with injuries. Okay. Um, but just remember that large number. Okay. And how a lot of people died at both Vicksburg and Gettysburg and were wounded. Okay. So that's the end of this lesson. So be sure once you finish, next time you go to class, turn this in with your name on it to the basket next to my door. If there's any other things you're missing, let me know. Okay, that way I can give it to you and you can watch the other videos on that stuff. So, since that's it, I will say see you guys later and hope you have a good day.